This next guest is somebody who is one of the most colorful characters in the history of college football. And one of the things about Ed Orgeron that's really unique is Ed is so authentic to Ed. When he wasn't given the USC job years ago, he was really deeply hurt. And Ed let people know he was hurt. And Ed's a big, strong, tough guy. But I think one of the things that makes him incredibly embraceable is that when Ed was hurt, and it was deep, and he let people know. But true to form, this is Ed. He just put his head down and just burrowed his way. He Joe Burrowed his way to LSU and won a national championship. And I want to start with that, Ed, because that's when I was introduced to you, and you were really key, a centerpiece in Pete Carroll's dynasty. And it was a complicated, USC's always been a little political, and it was complicated. But when you didn't get that job, and you're driving home that day, where were you? Did you think, the hell am I doing in this business? I want to go back to the NFL. How bad did it hurt? Where were you at that day when you got that news?
Well, we went to the airport. I got on a plane, and I was really, really mad, really upset. I told my team bye. They were all crying. Why are you leaving? You're like the daddy I never had. This was my team. USC and LSU was the places I wanted to be. And I finally got the opportunity. I spent 11 years here. I loved Los Angeles. The people loved me. One person that, and that's just the way it was. That's just the way it was. So we get on a plane. I'm sitting on the side of my wife, and I'm really upset. And she goes, "It's going to be okay." And I look at her and I said, "Besides the day I buried my daddy, this is the worst day of my life." And here's what she said. She says, she's a very spiritual person. "No, it's not. God has a better plan." I looked at her. I said, "It better be good." USC, $16 million contract. Whoa, pulled out of my hand. But you know what? I went home, regrouped, and you know what? Okay, let's go. Let's battle.
LSU is a perfect fit for you. I think I've said this on the air before. You look, you talk, you sound, you recruit, you feel like the LSU football coach, but we know it's the SEC. We know the pressure's insane. You had told, I think Urban Meyer told me this a couple years ago, that you had told Urban, you said, "Hey, Joe Burrow, that was bigger than people think. They were getting on me. I had to win some damn games." You know, Ed, before you landed Joe Burrow, I remember it was your first or second year and you had a really tough loss against kind of not a big program. Go back to that. Did you think you were going to get fired early at LSU?
When we lost to Troy, you could feel it. And we got on a plane to go to Florida. I pushed my toe. So we got to win. I don't know what would happen if I'd lost to Florida, to be honest with you. I don't know if they'd have fired me. I don't know if I'd have made it. But we beat Florida. And then we continued, and we started winning some football games. And that took the pressure off right there.
So take me to the Joe Burrow recruitment. When is the first time you saw tape of Joe Burrow?
This is an amazing story. We have a spring game. Spring game's on TV, okay? And I get back, our quarterback play wasn't very good. And my son was playing at McNeese State, who plays quarterback. I said, "Daddy, we need a quarterback." I said, "I know." He said, "Dad, I was watching Ohio State's spring game. Joe Burrow is transferred. We need him." I said, "I don't know who Joe Burrow is." So I had a coach on my staff named Bill Bush, who was very instrumental in getting Joe to our school. Bill Bush was there at Ohio State and knew the family. I went to Bill. I said, "Hey, listen, Joe Burrow's fixing to transfer." He says, "Coach, if we get Joe Burrow, we're going to college football playoffs." So we got him on a visit. You'll love this. He didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want, no. He said, "Coach, you got this running game. I don't need to hear it, Coach. That's not what I'm here for. I want to talk football and I want to eat crawfish." We had a football meeting and we had some of his plays that he ran at Ohio State. And we started asking questions, why, what, where. offense, defense, why you doing this, why we calling this. And it took me 5 minutes to realize there were 6 people in the room, including me. Joe Burrow was the smartest guy in that room, off the charts. Smartest football player I've ever been around.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Ed. He has a good arm, but not huge.
You're right.
He moves, but he's not super athletic. I said when I first saw him, I thought he was a little Tony Romo. He had a little gunslinger. He was pretty twitchy, but you know, he's not Mahomes or Josh Allen arm. What is it about him, besides the brain power, athletically, what is it that makes him so special?
Well, it's his intangibles. It's his guts. It's his work ethic. His focus. All those things that I'm talking about are off the charts with Joe Burrow. You know what? He's there the same day now. He's a little bit more athletic than you think. When he first came, I said, well, he doesn't throw the ball as strong as I thought he would. You know what I'm saying? But he's so smart, and he knows what to do with the football. And he can extend plays with his feet. And he's tough. The guy can take a hit. You hit him, you get the other quarterbacks, not all quarterbacks, you hit him, you know, they might want to get out the game a little bit. Joe's like a linebacker. You hit him, he gets pissed, and he wants to go further.
So the year before you won the national title, Ohio kid comes down there. You were a good team. I remember he played a game against somebody, and he got kind of the shit kicked out of him. Maybe it had been Auburn. He got hit, went out, came back. Was there a moment in the year before he left? Was there a moment when you felt it all coming together and said, okay, I mean, because it's obvious, Coach, Ohio to LSU, it's a wholly different world. Was there, did you have a moment the junior year that you said, guys, this is it?
Yeah. First of all, we played Georgia, the number 2 team in the country, and we beat them pretty good. And we went on 4th down and 1 5 times. Joe ran some quarterback sneaks. He made some great plays. That was a big win for us, okay? That started the momentum right there. But we played in the Fiesta Bowl, and Joe Burrow took a hit. It was a blindside hit. I called for Miles Burnett to get in, and Joe is on the ground. And Joe gets up, and he says, F that, Coach. I'm not coming out the game. We're down 14 points. He stays in the game. We scored the next 3 series. We beat UCF and won 10 games, which was a momentum for our football team. I remember when I was at Pete Carroll, when we won 10 games and went to the Orange Bowl. It reminded me of that year. I said, you know what? We got us a team now. Maybe next year we can win.
You know, the SEC is the best football conference. It cares the most. They pay the most. But it's interesting. I said this when Lincoln Riley took the job at USC. I said, it's really about getting into the playoff. It's a hell of a lot easier from USC than it will be Oklahoma, which is at best the 3rd or 4th best SEC program. And here's what I said this. Oklahoma's got that spread, and they don't have the interior bodies of Georgia, LSU, Auburn, or Bama. I wonder how well they're going to do in a couple years in the SEC. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think they're going to have to change. Well, we played them, and we handled them pretty good. And we could have scored 100, I think. And but I got a lot of respect for Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma, but they're going to have to get bigger and physical. This is a physical league, and if you can't stand toe-to-toe with somebody, it's going to be a long night.
California has some good defensive linemen, but I don't know if it's the diet. I don't know what the heck it is. Like the South, Texas, bigger kids. If you coached USC tomorrow, do you have to leave the state to get your horses, your big guys?
Yeah. You know, it just so happens that when we were at USC, we had the Wild Bunch too. Think about this now. They're there in Los Angeles. We had Kenichi Udeze, first-round draft choice. Nobody knew about him. He weighed like 350 pounds. Mike Patterson, that played in the league for 10 years, probably the best defensive lineman in the last 10 or 12 years at USC. Sean Cody, who was the number 1 defensive player in the country, USA Today. So I do believe, Colin, that maybe that was a special time, but you got to dig. You got to get some diamonds in the rough. You're right. They're more abundant in the South. That's why I love recruiting down there. I mean, look at the draft. Look at those big guys. You can play anybody in the SEC. Vanderbilt, they can have a number one draft choice on the defensive line in a heartbeat. There are players all over the place.
When you look at Lincoln Riley, I don't doubt he can dominate the Pac-12. I don't doubt at all that USC with a transfer portal is going to get really good really fast. I don't doubt the speed and the offense he'll create. When you look at it and you look at his staff, honestly, how long do you think it will take? The transfer portal adds a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, USC, like Coach Carroll, man, we turned that thing around fast.
Second year.
So you take it around fast, but hey, you got to get players, man. You got to get players. You got to have a great coaching staff. I haven't studied Lincoln's coaching staff, but I would venture to say I don't know who the defensive coordinator is, but you're going to have to play defense. You got to play defense. I know he scores a lot of points, but you have to play defense and have a strong offensive and defensive line.
What if USC called you someday and said, Ed, you made your money. We know it. You got the bag, but we want you to come here, be the assistant coach, and just be a voice in Southern California? What would you say?
I'd be open to it. I'm anything. I love Los Angeles. They know I love USC. But 11 years here, and so I'd be definitely open to that. I'm young. I'm 60 years young. I'm in good shape. I've got a lot left. I do believe that I'm going to coach again. I want to take the year off to kind of see what I do. But yes, I'd be open to that. No question.